All right, day two of podcasting from home and giving people a little bit of sports on days where there's not a lot of sports, unless you're a Bears fan and you can't believe you went from one perspective quarterback to another perspective backup quarterback. So a little background on me. Went to and who influenced my coaching. Let's start with this. I'm a history major. I'm not a science major. Not athletic training. Not biology, not anatomy, not a math or statistician either. You can tell I have a speech impediment. So I'm more of the art of coaching rather than the science of coaching. You won't see a lot of charts with me. You won't see a lot of flow charts or graphs or scales or any of that sort of stuff. I'm more artsy fartsy about how you feel and that sort of stuff with a lot of things that we do. If you look at the influences of what I believe in, it's mainly from the two coaches that I ran for. I ran at Schaumburg High School for Jim McNider. Jim McNider in college ran for my college coach, Al Carius. And so a lot of what I do is based on a lot of what they did. And you can argue that that's just copycatting and that's not really understanding the training or it's any of those sorts of things. And I understand that argument for people that want to go there. Those are two highly successful coaches. Both are in the Illinois Track and Cross Country Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Al Carius is in the NCAA and the USATF Hall of Fame. And Al Carius has an NCAA award named after him. More or less knows what he's talking about. I find it very hard for anyone to argue that if you're basing what you do off of Al Carius, you don't know what you're talking about because you're not following science. On that same thread, though, for years and years, Joe Newton was the most successful high school coach in the country. And you can make the legitimate argument Coach Newton is the most successful high school coach in the history of cross country in the country. I think that's something that people can successfully argue. But you can't take Mr. Newton's program and plug it into your high school and do the exact same thing and have it magically work. You have to make it fit your community, make it fit your kids, make it fit your own personality. All right? So as I lay out what we do on a week-to-week basis and a day-to-day basis, understand that I can't say here's the pace to hit and here's the magic mileage to hit or I don't believe that. I don't believe that works in this school can be transported to work in this school. You can take aspects of it, but you've got to make it work yourself. All right? When I ran at Schaumburg, what I found out running for Coach McNider is I found the importance of routine. I found the importance of accountability. And I also found the importance of keeping it in perspective. I started high school, having come out of middle school, with a lot of personal growth. When I was in elementary school, I was a step above special ed most of my academic time in elementary school. I was not a very motivated student, and I was not a very successful student, and a lot of that was by choice. When I went to middle school, our middle school athletic program had a policy that if you missed more than 2 assignments in the same class in a week, you were ineligible for the rest of that week. I magically started doing my homework and I magically became a better student. So I started at Schaumburg High School, again, hanging out with this crowd academically from middle school, but I qualified because I actually did well in middle school academically for all AP and honors classes right from freshman year on. And I came into the cross-country program. Was a terrible 7th grade cross-country runner. And then that winter, I grew 6 inches, I put on over 50 pounds, and I ran every single day between the end of basketball tryouts where I got cut and the start of track tryouts that I made. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and I got better and better and better. Now, I wanted to be really good, but I didn't know what the process of being really good was. And so I do stupid things in races, I do stupid things in training, and Mac would spend a lot of time tempering my expectations, teaching me that I need to scaffold, if I'm using my educational language, from where I'm at now to the steps I need to take to get to where I want to be. And I distinctly remember 2 things that Mac told me, both in disappointment. First one was I ran a terrible race. I was all despondent. I was all upset. I was throwing things. I was cursing. And he pulled me aside and pretty forcefully said, if this is the worst thing that happens to you, you're living a pretty charmed life. This is not a big deal. that helped put things in perspective. Similar sort of thing, I was pitching a fit about something, and he talked to the whole team this side and said, look, in the grand scheme of things, winning, losing doesn't mean very much. He said in 10, 15, 20 years, you won't remember your times. You won't remember places, maybe a handful of them. You probably won't remember workouts, but you'll remember how you feel in workouts. He said what you will remember is who was there for you when you needed them and who you were there for when they needed you. And I've tried all my best to try to make sure my athletes understand that. When I went to North Central, I went from being a big fish in a small pond at Schaumburg, where I had run top 7 sophomore year, junior year, and senior year, and then competed at the state meet as a top 5 athlete junior and senior year, to a very good team at North Central College, and I had to humble myself because I was not one of the best there. In fact, I was at best middle of the pack there. But I also found my place. I found a way to work, transition from being a miler in the track team to figuring out that 58 seconds PR in the quarter is not going to make you a good 1,500 meter runner in college, and I moved over to the 10K realm. What I found with Al that I didn't have at Schaumburg is I found the joy of running. Al loves to run. Al loves to be around people that love to run. Al's phrase of run for fun and personal bests is an extraordinary concept I'll probably touch on in another video. I went in there wanting to be serious, wanting to be businesslike, thinking this was all foolish, and was routinely, in good humor, mocked by Al, teased by Al, and made to join the group by having things that we did that would make you sort of buy in and pitch in and finally start to have fun with it. So, what did I take from those guys that I put into my program training-wise? Each of those guys were 5-day-a-week or 7-day training cycles. You did the similar thing on each day of the week, each week. A little bit different depending on when your meet was, whether it was a Friday or Saturday in cross country, or Tuesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Saturday, or Monday, Thursday, whatever it is in track and field. Assuming the competition is on Saturday, typically my weeks are Monday we're going to have some sort of workout where it's going to be a longer effort. It might be a long tempo run, it might be a lactic threshold run, it might be longer distance intervals or longer time intervals, something to that extent. Tuesdays are going to be my long runs. Wednesdays we'll do a double run on recovery runs for both of them. Thursdays will be our second workout of the week. Typically it's going to be shorter. It would be shorter intervals or hill workouts a lot of times in the early part of track and most of cross country. Friday is going to be a double run for recovery. Saturday would be a meet, and then Sunday would be a recovery run on their own. The reason that I do this is the idea that kids need to be able to have a life outside of their athletic team. They need to know when they can schedule work. Parents need to know when they can schedule doctor's appointments and orthodontist appointments and all these different sorts of things. So if my kids know on Mondays we do this, and Tuesdays we do this, and Wednesdays we do this, those parents and those kids know when they can schedule the rest of their life. So I'm not holding that time hostage on a week-by-week or a day-by-day basis. That's the goal, at least. I understand other coaches have 10-day training cycles and 14-day training cycles and 21-day training cycles, and I realize there's a place for that. But I'm a part of my kids' life, and my kids should not be living their whole life around cross-country or track and field. I should have my time where I'm the priority during that time frame, but you got all this time before it, you got all this time after it, that those kids should have a life outside of cross-country and a track, and that's why I keep things similar in a week-by-week basis. Now, each day we'll do a run, we'll do something after the run, we'll do something that's usually for the older guys in PE, for the younger guys afterwards. So I'll sort of talk through what our Mondays look like, what our workouts look like, what our Tuesdays long run workouts look like, and all the rest of that sort of stuff. In the grand scheme of our training, we have Monday, Tuesday hard, Wednesday easy, Thursday hard, Friday easy, Saturday hard, Sunday easy. Strain, recover, strain, recover, strain, recover. Our season is laid out that way as well. We typically go up mileage for 2, 3, or 4 weeks. Then we go down to catch ourselves and allow our bodies to recover and get more fit. And then we go up for 2, 3, or 4 weeks. Then we come down, and it's laid out like that. Now, in a year-by-year basis, kids will typically raise their mileage on that up and down curve and then catch, and then raise their mileage on an up or down curve and catch. My oldest kids typically do more than my youngest kids, and even my most talented, most highly trained, highest background kids are not allowed to do what the other kids that are older than them are doing, and I need to find a way for them to progress as they grow throughout freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. Last thing before I go on this. Just because you don't have much of a background doesn't mean you can't be successful. I had a young man come out for me for senior year after 4 years of getting cut by soccer. His fourth year, senior year, getting cut by soccer. He said, well, I want to try a sport, try cross country. We started that young man low in mileage, low in intensity, worked his way into the varsity group, worked his way into the top 7, worked his way into a really great sectional run. Didn't qualify for state in the 2-mile track, but looked really good trying to do that. Went to UIC, only ran in high school senior year. No background before that. Now he's a scholarship athlete at UIC and the #1 runner at UIC. If you're interested in going out for track and field and cross country, don't think that if you haven't done it before, you're not going to be successful. You need a coach who's going to be smart. You need to take baby steps. You need to know that you're on firm footing before you go forward. But you can be successful in cross country and track and field if you're willing to put in the work and also realize you're going to measure yourself today versus yourself where you want to be down the road. And we'll come back later on.